Many people are learning about Scrum and trying to get experience as a Scrum Master. The struggle is real in these very challenging times. I wanted to have a conversation about this with someone who has recently gone through the process. I would like to introduce you to Smita, who has been kind enough to accept this interview. She will tell us about her journey as a Scrum Master and share some tips that helped her in the process. Smita, thank you for accepting this conversation and welcome to the show.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Valentin. Thank you so much.
Can you tell us a few words about yourself and your background before getting started with, Scrum and Agile? What did you do
Of
before
course.
then?
Sure. So I've been in the States for about 17 years now. And with my master's degree, with my MBA in marketing and sales, I um, came here and started doing, started working as a business analyst and also as a business data analyst recently in my work at the Berkeley Emergency Medical Group in the Bay Area. And I have noticed that in my previous work, wherever I was working, they were they were practicing Scrum, but the Scrum was not adopted in its entirety.
Mhm.
So I gotten interested in that from their own onwards and thought of learning more about Scrum from there.
Okay, so this aspect that Scrum wasn't properly applied, you can say that this made you curious about Scrum, and this was like the way you noticed that Scrum exists, and you wanted to to apply it better.
That's correct. That's correct. So oftentimes we see that we like something and we see how we can customize it to our convenience and whatnot. And it really didn't spoke to me in that manner. And I thought there is something that's not right, customizing it and making it work for your organization. If it works, it has to be adopted fully to see its real result. So that's where I was, and often questioning myself. Yes, I'm seeing these Scrum teams, but is this the right way of of using Scrum
Yeah.
within the teams? So that's where my curiosity kind of built up. And during the pandemic, I was introduced to more resources and got myself more interested in moving forward with this.
Yeah, that this was a period where a lot of people dedicated time to learning something new, and yeah, a lot of people came to the idea that learning about Scrum or, for example, getting a certification won't hurt.
Exactly.
Um,
And that's what I did. What I did is I started reading this very interesting book, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us from Daniel Pink, where he talks about three elements of intrinsic motivation. And
okay.
those are autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And there is where I was, because I've been, I have been giving some few hours of my time every week to the community in some or the other form, may it be public schools or any fundraising event, or in a hospital where my son was born,
That's
so
very nice.
so this really spoke to me. And and I started working as a volunteer in the San Francisco Chambers of Commerce, also as a consultant for their small business resiliency program, and started using Scrum there as well.
Oh, that's very nice. Was it a point where you decided you wanted to become a Scrum Master, or what what was your path? Where were you? What were you thinking at that point? You were
Exactly.
a business analyst, and what was you like? I want to be a Scrum Master. I wanna do Scrum in whatever position.
Exactly. Yeah, I should talk to you about this. So, what happened is, I often thought as in how I can help the teams bring out their best, how I can even help the high performing teams. being at their optimal, you know. So that's where I was, and often questioning myself. Yes, I have a master's degree. I'm from business development, marketing, sales, and business analyst, career. Do I really want to become a Scrum Master? But the more I got in depth about what Scrum is and that agile mindset, learning more about how it works in different organization, and how as a Scrum Master I can be a servant leader in bringing out the best in the team. And then I started thinking deeply, as if I've been a servant leader for almost 15 years now, because I considered myself as a parent being a servant leader. Parents job is also like a servant leader. We are teaching them, but ultimately we really want them to be self-organized and function on their own, right?
Yeah,
So that's how I kind of thinking in terms of where I am and why it really speaks to me so much, because I have been in that role in a different capacity.
yeah. That's a very nice comparison. To be more concrete, which path did you take to become a Scrum Master? Did you have a mentor or someone guiding you? And where did you get your information from?
Of course, yeah. So I when I started studying about Scrum and reading the articles and looking at the meetups, whichever meetups are available in the Bay Area, to mingle with people who have the agile mindset and other Scrum professionals from whom I can talk and learn and see where they are, what are their backgrounds, and if it really matches as to if I can be a good Scrum Master, you know, kind of that stage where I was evaluating myself. Yes, I had the knowledge, I got the certificate, I did some classes, but can I be a good Scrum Master? Because if I'm a Scrum Master, I feel that I'm in a very, very valuable position where the team needs me because I'm going to be a servant leader. I was just in the stage of evaluating, and I did a lot of meetups, and I got connected with a lot of Scrum professionals and connected them on LinkedIn and had one-on-one with them, and and identified where how did they get into Scrum and Scrum Master and then Agile Coach, or if they from Scrum Master they move to a product owner. How did this transition happen, and what did they do to make it happen, and and what were their values when they started this as a Scrum Master, and how my values align with what they are doing. Those kind of questions I have often questioned myself, and maybe many times answered myself, or asked other people what do they think of, kind of a constructive feedback or whatnot, as in critique as to where we need as an improvement, if there's a gap, opportunity to address and improve.
Yeah. And I think you're bringing up a very valid point, in the sense that if you want to do something, it's a good idea to have a discussion with someone who is already doing it, instead of being in your own mind and imagining how it would be or could be. You
Right.
can get nowadays so easily access to someone else, as you mentioned on LinkedIn, and
Right.
just
And I'm very
asking.
grateful. I'm so grateful to the Scrum community, that people are getting together, they're talking about different topics, their issues, and their good things that they want to share, how they handle the high performing teams. And I've been very fortunate to get in touch with few people who are in big companies and working as a Scrum Master and sharing their experience. And right now, I'm reading this book with another friend of mine, kind of a small book club thing. It's called Scrum Mastery by Jeff Watts,
Yeah,
and
that's a
it's
great book.
it is a great book. But I'm just, one fourth of the book is done. I am going deep into the examples and understanding how that scrum master, in different examples, how that scrum master is handling different situations. Like if there's a problem with the team not following what they said they will follow, it's the scrum master who will say, make your own rules, let's abide by the rules that you make. Give them the power. You're a servant leader. You want to bring the best from the team. You want to ask the team what they want, instead of suggesting. We don't want to suggest.
I wanted to go back for a second in terms of the groups where you're participating in. Could you mention a few names for someone just getting started and having no idea where to join the conversation or where to connect with other people? Apart from like simply searching for profiles on LinkedIn.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I went on Meetup, and in the search bar, I started searching Agile, Scrum, and
Okay.
a few of the meetups that were happening in the Bay Area. uh, Scrum, Bay Area Scrum Professionals is one, and Agile Austin. It's an Agile Austin uh, group discussion for the Scrum, Scrum books
Yep.
and Agile mindset. And there are other 2 or 3 other meetups. But if you want to get more as a real life kind of experience with talking with other people, and just tell, and when you introduce yourself, that was me in the beginning when I started attending this case study. It's a case study that happens on Sunday. It's 7 to 9 uh, 9 p.m. PST by Fred Fowler. I just introduced myself. I'm new to Scrum. I don't have a certification. I'm preparing for my certification, but I want to hear from you guys as to how you are handling a certain situation, because it's a case study. It's a real case study.
Mm.
So it's okay to introduce yourself as in you're a beginner, and then if you get, as and when you get more interested, you'll get there. You'll get there. So my biggest help was attending the meetups, and then also going through the Agile MBA classes in the Bay Area. Agile MBA classes in the Bay Area is run by Larry Apke,
Mm-hmm.
and they run the classes 4 times a year, and it's a 6 weeks class, and they have recently started their first session of the year.
Okay.
And those classes, those 6 weeks classes, were really the eye opener, as in classes, because attending the meetups and understanding from other people is different thing, but really going through the classes, and among those, 120 or 140 people asking different questions, and in the discussion group on Fridays, it's like really like kind of a eye opener, and experiencing Scrum values from different perspectives, and in a way, like experiencing different case studies from different people's experiences.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned this MBA, I also heard about it. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is totally free to attend.
It is a free. These are free classes, and Larry Appiah runs it 4 times a year. It's 6 weeks classes for about 18 hours in total, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7:30 to 9 o'clock PST. And recently, after doing my classes, I nominated them for the Jefferson Award. And this past week, they have been awarded the silver medal for the Jefferson Award by KPIX.
Wow, that's quite something. And
Major, contributor to the community, and everything is free of cost. Like giving, like big. Larry Apke is a big proponent of giving back to the community. So
yeah, well,
this
what a
was
great example. And especially in
very,
these hard times, like helping people
right.
out and sharing knowledge.
Right.
Uh,
And it's just not about Scrum. It's about the whole mindset and a working environment in companies, how you can improve yourself. So, we talked about Scrum, yes, but those 6 weeks classes are not just about Scrum. It's for anybody. I'm using Scrum in my daily life, even doing my project at home. So, it just really resonates with my mindset, and it really spoke to me in multiple ways.
Yeah, that's a great thing to hear, and a lot of people feel that way. The first time I attended a Scrum training, I was like, okay, I'm gonna apply it at home as well. So the enthusiasm is definitely there, and it
And
it
I guess this is
works if applied properly.
I'm saying this is the beauty of Scrum. You can
Yes.
apply it in the software development, or in your own project, right? In your own development of your own project. Like, I'll give you a very good example. These classes that I was doing at Agile MBA. After doing the classes, we all knew that we are in the process of job search, and we started a group. It's called Agile Job Search Group. We call it AJS, and we started this group with a small team. Like, it has to be under 9, as we do in Scrum, but we did it like around 7 people,
Mhm.
and we started using Scrum in our job search. We created our Trello board. It's a tool. It's a very popular tool by Atlassian, and we started agile job search. We have our own sprint backlog, we have our own product backlog, and our product is landing a job. That's our product. So
Great example. Great example.
we started using Scrum in our current situation, because we need this product. We need to land a job, right? So we created different ways, and some people are using Jira, where you see where you screwed up with your burned down chart. And even in your Trello, you can use power ups and show the burned down chart, and show yourself what you did and what you didn't.
Yeah,
So
it's
these are some really good tools.
yeah, they're all powerful tools, and probably the most important things is like understanding the principles behind the tools, or applying not aligning yourself with the tools, but using the tools to help you, not to dictate what is possible or not. And this is where your enthusiasm and your desire to learn and to achieve something is more important. Eventually the tool doesn't do the work, you have to do the work. It's just there to support
Yeah, we are the, like, I am the developer, right? I am the developer. This is my team. As me, as an individual, the tool is going to help me, but I am going to do the work. You are exactly right. Yeah.
you. So where did you look for jobs? And what are your tips for people doing the same thing? What are like the revelations of having this group, in terms of, let's say I'm put yourself in my shoes. I'm searching for a Scrum Master job today somewhere in the world. What would you do now with the experience that you have?
Well, I am having a very valuable experience currently with an organization. I got this volunteer opportunity through Helpful Engineering, and I am a Scrum Master for the backend team.
Okay.
And this team is internationally, globally, virtually located. And there are challenges that comes with this team, because we never met them, we don't know each other, and because of the volunteer nature, it's a fluid team. People come and people go. So I would say that I am looking for Scrum Master roles um, on LinkedIn and Glassdoor, but I definitely wanted to have a role where I can practice Scrum in the real software development. Like in this company that I am working, we are creating, it's an open source project, and we are creating this website for meeting the demand and supply of the personal protection equipments.
Okay.
So I'm having a real life experience where I am a scrum master to the backend team. I have also been in the cross functional team meetings, running the cross functional team meetings with the front end and the back end. So I am, I'm looking at the opportunity which is for me, and where I can contribute, and our values align, and I want to see that I'm a good fit to that company, that I can contribute, and we value each other. They value me, and I value them, and their values, their mission, their goals, and where they're heading, their future, and where they're coming from. So those kind of things I'm really enthusiastic about, getting work in one of those my dream companies. We'll see.
So you essentially notice that a lot of companies require a lot of experience in a Scrum Master position. And this is why you looked into helpful engineering to get some hands-on experience. This is like the path that you took at that point, right?
That is correct. That's correct.
Okay.
I wanted to have a real life experience as a Scrum Master. I have been in the teams where we practice Scrum. I know it, but really having the certification in hand, having the knowledge, the real knowledge, and meeting with people, like-minded people, and Scrum professionals, and then practicing Scrum as a Scrum Master in the real life is a different thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad that I got this opportunity to be able to practice Scrum as a Scrum Master. And I'm very thankful for the team. How we developed our relationship. We were not knowing each other. We were really, we were strange to each other. Someone is in Nigeria, someone is in different parts of the world, and we
That's
trying
challenging.
to create trust, foster trust. And it took some time, I have to say, like, yeah, it took a few weeks, but yeah, we are learning every single day, and we're getting there.
The interesting thing is, there is no course, there's no training, there's no certification that can replace getting hands-on experience. And everyone's experience is a bit different, but sooner or later you still more or less go back to the Scrum basics if you're using Scrum. You mentioned previously trust. This is like highly connected to the Scrum values, which are like when you're learning in the beginning, it's like, okay, there are these values, great. Okay, let's move on to roles and other things. But when you're starting to apply it, you notice, oh, this actually means something. This has an implication when doing this in real life. Walk us through your experience. Like, what were your first days or first week as a Scrum Master? What happened? Where you're coming from this, where you learn a lot of theoretical things, and then you are like, okay, now this is it.
Right now, yeah. Oh, it was a very, very different experience. When I was interviewed for this position as a Scrum Master, through this company, from Helpful Engineering, I introduced myself to the team, and the team was quiet. They were, how it is when you meet a stranger, and it seems that, for definitely for people who are not aware of how Scrum works, and they're very new to Scrum, and then they are told that, hey, we are going to adopt Scrum here, and here is your Scrum Master. Think of it that way, and that situation. And I didn't want it to come forward as a, as a masters, as we say, Scrum Master. I wanted to convey them in in different ways, that I am a servant leader, but my title is Scrum Master. But I'm not a master. I'm not your master. You are the people who are going to do the team, who are going to do the work. You are the team. I'm just here to help. So, Valentine, it took me a few weeks to foster that trust in the team, and let the team know that I am there to help them, and they also need to communicate with me. Because someone, think of it in this way, someone who is new to Scrum will know, okay, there is something called Scrum, and that person is a Scrum Master, but that person is not in the process of development. That person is not a developer. So what is this person going to do? They're going to tell us, do this, do that. You know, how people start thinking, because they don't know enough about how it works and what's the role of a Scrum Master. So gradually, with our stand-up meetings, I started doing 2 stand-up meetings, but not everyone will come to the stand-up meetings, because what will the Scrum Master ask? What did we do? And what are our impediments? And what are we going to do today, right? We know what we know better than the Scrum Master. We know it all. So what is the role of a Scrum Master? They're going to tell us. I'm not attending those meetings. So really, it took me some time to tell them that I'm here to remove your impediments. I'm going to connect with the leadership to remove your impediments. I'm going to connect with the leadership because I don't want other people to disturb you guys, you know, in doing your work. I am the only person who will be acting as your go-to person if you have any impediments, or if you have anything that you know want to talk about. So those kind of things. um, I used a lot of Slack, and whenever I did the channel messages, I never got a reply. I even used the Poly app for the survey as to when we can meet for the stand up. No one replied. I had to really dig down deep to individually connect with each person of the team to see where they are. They might not be comfortable in telling me their internet connection is not good, or they have only one laptop where they're sharing with their kids. I mean, different situations at this time, right? So I told them that I'm here to understand you. You're here to tell me, and we'll work it out. If you can't come to the stand up with other people, we can do one on one. At least I want to meet you, right? So that's where I was, and I came across some of these issues in the beginning. I shouldn't call it issues, impediments.
Yeah. And this kind of like gives everyone a very good idea if anyone is wondering, like, what is the Scrum Master supposed to do? It seems that there's nothing for the Scrum Master to do. Okay, if there are no impediments, what happens? And you come to such an organization and you're like filled with impediments and things that need your help in getting fixed, and helping the team understand what the Scrum is, and how to better use it. And yeah.
Right. I always say, be in a Scrum Master role, and you will know it all.
No, you'll know it where you're in the position, exactly what needs to be done. You probably
Yeah.
just need to have like the right mindset to be able to understand what's Scrum supposed to fix, and how you can be that change agent within the team and the organization.
Very true. So true. Yes.
Did you notice improvements in the team? Are they working better? Are they finding value in having the daily Scrum or the daily stand up?
Right. So in the beginning, there were quite a lot of impediments, because it's a startup model where we are adopting Scrum, and we are at the learning stage where the Scrum Master is also, you know, telling them how we practice Scrum in an organization. So I did a lot of a lot of understanding around how it's working out for the team, and how I can have more communication with the team. And I uncovered that the the problem was having the cross functional team. When the backend team is working on something and they're commenting on the Jira board, they're waiting for the front end, whoever they are commenting for, that person will get back to them, later on, because not to forget that we are located at different time zones.
Yeah.
And they were not sure as to what is happening, because when someone is commenting from the backend team as to this is happening, can you check on that? What is happening this is happening in the dev environment? Can you check what is, if it's a similar thing happening in the front end in the production environment? So I thought that there's a gap People are not understanding what they mean by it. Commenting is not helpful. So I suggested them uploading the Loom videos, Loom videos or Snagit, the video explaining with that environment, with your own voice as to what really is happening. And the other person at the different time zone, whenever that person will wake up, will see, hey, this is what is happening. It is like an interactive session. So I suggested that worked out great. And the team, the productivity really increased after that, because they are not sitting there and commenting again, hey, I don't understand this, can we meet tomorrow, or can we have a meeting tomorrow? And then the other person says, we are like 9 or 12 hours apart, so how can we work it out? So this really worked. I suggested Loom videos, Snagit, and they will upload that file on the Jira board, on the story itself. They also uploading Figma files on the stories, which also was very helpful as to how the files look, and for the UX and UI designers. And then to resolve the problem for the cross-functional team, me and another Scrum Master for the front team decided to have the session for the cross-functional team once a week, starting Monday, because our sprint starts on Monday, and Monday morning we will have a swarm session with the front end and the back end to have the cross-functional team. They didn't understand the meaning of cross-functional. When I took up this role of a Scrum Master, I was like, where is the cross-functional team? How can they work like this in silos, in quiet places, and not meeting the team, and not knowing as to what is happening in their environment and what is happening in my environment? So that really give them a new insight as to what is a cross-functional team. We need both the teams, back end and front end, to interact and knock out those blockers in the meeting itself, or at least plan to knock those out in the sprint.
Yeah. And it all comes like having this shared understanding of what's going on. As you mentioned, if you have like these handoffs between, I'm done with my part, and, I don't care what happens next. It's, it's someone else's problem then it's pretty hard to have even this, idea of being a team, because it's not like having different roles and they're like glued together somehow. Okay, now you're a team, but to be a team actually means to collaborate with others and to say, hey, let's move on, let's solve problems. And you as the impediment remover, or like the causing of impediment removal person is there to help out with this and to move on.
Until we started having the cross-functional team meetings on Monday morning, we called it Swarm 6, because initially we had 6 people. They didn't know the meaning of cross-functional, because they did understand the real meaning of collaboration, of the team. Team is if I'm doing the work, it's not like I've done the work, over to you. Not like that. I'm doing the work. Is it resolving the issue? Let's look at it together. Let's resolve it. Let's see what I can do. Even I'm so happy right now that at my last daily stand-up, one of my back-end team members mentioned that the story points given to the front-end team is larger. And I would like to help them to knock out those story points once I'm done, or maybe in the middle, if it can be, it can help them, because they are loaded, and we are missing 2 people from the front end because they're sick or they are out on a vacation for a few days. So that was like, I felt so happy about it, that the team is having the spirit of team, not like an me or you. We are a team.
Yeah. And the best way to learn something new and to get out of your comfort zone is to simply try and do it, and learn from others, or just always relying on 1 or 2 persons to always be available and always do the job. This is such a risky thing to do. So generally, it's a big concern for the organization itself, if they are like, superstar developers, like knowing everything, doing everything, and then all of a sudden, the getting hit by the bus metaphor, of like explaining what's happening if that person is tomorrow not there for various reasons, and how will the team cope with that. And the more cross functional you are on that scale, the less of an impact having a person less for a period of time will this have. So that's an important aspect.
Yeah, we face that problem with the alumni, with the fluid nature of the team, and alumni team members being gone because they got a job or they got busy with something else. There were few issues that the current team members were not able to understand, and I started connecting with the leadership and taking the contact of those people who were working on that story earlier, or who created the base, so they can connect with the current team and there's a little bit of session for a knowledge transfer, because as you said, I mean, you want the team to understand what was happening in the beginning, and maybe connect with people and ask those people, if even if they are busy, just give some time and do some knowledge transfer, so that the team can understand as to where they're heading and where it's coming from.
Yeah. You already made a lot of progress with these teams, but I assume like on a scale, there's still many things to do, like to get, let's say, perfect Scrum or doing Scrum by the book, because I assume there are still a lot of things that are not or are far from perfect. And this is like kind of a normal in this environment where Scrum is introduced and a lot of people don't know exactly how it's supposed to be. You cannot get it right from the beginning. And I was kind of wondering, like, what are your current challenges, or what are the things that you want to improve in the upcoming period?
Sure. So I want to say that my current challenges are one of them is a velocity and definition of done. With the velocity, I see a lot of variance where, and it could be, I want to say it is because of the fluid nature of the team. Because when we know that after 2 sprints, we know the current velocity is about 32 to 35 story points. But then in the current sprint, when it comes down to 18 story points, then my understanding is, yes, there was a blocker which could not be resolved because there was an issue with the knowledge. Maybe we don't have the expertise in the team that can resolve that issue, or we need our team to give more time in troubleshooting those issues. So I would say velocity is one thing that I am still understanding as to what is the level of the knowledge that the team has, and I'm talking to the team as to what else we need in the team, and trying to recruit more people in the team, so we can really knock out those stories and keep our velocity constant or improving. I mean, I shouldn't say constant, at least not less. Or with more sprints, we should be gradually increasing our velocity.
Mm.
So I'm still trying to understand what kind of knowledge we need in the team, that when we have a blocker, we are able to resolve that blocker within the 2 weeks of sprint that we have.
Okay.
And this was we are starting our 6th sprint tomorrow.
Oh, okay. And do you, from the, let's say, Scrum meetings, are you holding all of them? Do you have a sprint review? Do you have a sprint retrospective?
Right. So we are able to do stand-ups, and we are doing review on Sundays with the team, with both the teams together, and we have a session from 10 to 12. So we are doing review for the first hour, and then we are doing retro, a little bit of retro on Sunday, and a little bit of retro on Monday morning before the Swarm 6 session, which is a cross-functional team meet. So we are doing retro there, and oftentimes, psychological safety, we come across that issue. Not everyone is comfortable in talking about their team dynamics or what they encountered with working with other people, individuals in the team. And I mean, it could be any kind of issues. So what currently is happening is they will come up with their what we can improve as together as a team, but few people are just replying individually on Slack. But the bottom line is the Scrum Masters know the insights as to what is happening, and
Okay.
not everyone is comfortable in bringing up the real retro, I must say.
The real one. Yeah, that's that's an interesting way of putting it. I was just wondering from in terms of like roles within the team, do you have like a real product owner that creates the product backlog, or how does work come up to the team? From where are the stakeholders? How does this work for this product that you're developing?
So we have a product owner for the team, and we, as myself and another Scrum Master for the front team, we are helping the product owner with the creation of stories, and creating the backlog and high priority items, MVPs. There is a product owner, but it is also true that the Scrum Master is helping the product owner. And that's, I see, I mean, if someone wants to move into the role of a product owner later on, it's a very helpful thing to see how the product owner is functioning and what kind of help do they need from the Scrum Master, and how can Scrum Master contribute to their role.
Yeah. The background for that question was that a lot of teams don't have all these roles. For example, they start developing, but they don't have a Scrum Master, or they do something, but there is no one person that is the product owner, and there are like a lot of, let's say, stakeholders that dictate what the team should do, but there are like, let's say, 2 or 3 persons, say one is saying do this and the other one is saying do that, and the team is like, which one is more powerful in the organization and which one should I listen to?
Exactly. And, right. We have a product owner. We have I'm a back-end Scrum Master. We have a front-end Scrum Master. We have a UI UX designer as well. So we are a team together, and I see that the product owner needs the help of the Scrum Master in the refinement a lot, and the MVP items, and some of the stories that were redundant, the product owner needs us to just put it in the archive. We don't need those stories, or splitting the story, independent stories, like a big story. It's like an epic. We can't put the epic in the sprint if it cannot be completed. We need to break it down, see if it can be completed in the single sprint, and then move the items to the sprint from the backlog.
Yeah. A lot of teams also like define their own definition of ready. And often a criteria for selecting something is like having a preference towards like smaller sizes in terms of the items. So not necessarily what Scrum says that it should be done in a sprint, that even that can be like pretty big to like occupy a single item to occupy the entire sprint. So often things like understanding the size, it helps when you break things down like as small as possible. And sometimes during the sprint, you always get like this, let's say, boost when you see that some items are already done, instead of having like a big item that you're working on for days and apparently it's not moving, like having like small things that you can do complete in one day. That's something that can, really boost the motivation of the entire Scrum team there.
Totally. Jira board, moving the stories from the left to right, blinks the eyes and sparkle, okay, it's done. We are halfway through. How many story points are done? Those kind of things. And yeah, I also want to point out that in the fire poker, where we give the story size to the for the estimation, I in the beginning I was asked to vote, and I was not ready to vote. I am not doing the work. I am not in the team who is doing the work. And I said, I don't want to vote. I don't know how big of a story is that. I don't know how many hours it will take the developers to complete the story. Why should I vote? And even today, I mean, they were asking everyone to vote. I was in the fire poker, but I did not vote. I don't want to vote.
Yeah.
Now let them decide what is their estimation.
And having other people do this will also like have an influence on the developers, and someone else, let's say externally, seems that this is much smaller. Indirectly, this information is being transmitted, and then you have like this, let's say, estimates that maybe are not an estimate essentially is always a guess. You cannot know everything in advance. But you mentioned previously velocity. Ideally, you want always like a constant and slightly rising velocity. And the experience shows that this comes in time as the team matures, as they better understand the work that they're doing. It becomes more or less like a constant. And but
right.
For environments that you're describing, where maybe people are coming, people are going, people distributed all over the world, it's really challenging to do all together.
Right. And knowledge comes from experience. That's what Scrum says. So we're constantly striving to be better every single day. We're learning. There's a learning curve in this. We're learning every single day. And we are trying to get better. We're trying to increase our velocity. But as you said, estimation is just an estimation.
You mentioned earlier that you're also like interested in the product owner role, that you want to understand it better. Would you also be interested in trying out to actually be a product owner, or how do you see the two roles for matching you as a person?
Sure. I would in the future like to be in the product owner role as well, but I want to move to the product owner role from the Scrum Master role, because I want to be myself. I want to be in the shoes of a Scrum Master, understand it, digest it, and bring the best in the people in in whichever team I'm working with, and then only I can see, if I see myself as a place where I see that I have figured it out, where there is nothing like this. There is a constant learning. But when I see myself as a good servant leader, and I am able to bring the best in people, having even the high performing teams being at their optimal, then I think there would be a time when I would like to get into a product owner role, where I want to understand the product more closely and want to define those stories, want to create those stories, and would like my Scrum Master to help me with their knowledge. And because I will be moving, as this is my thought, because I'll be moving from a Scrum Master role to the product owner role, I'm my thoughts are I would be able to understand my position better if I move from the Scrum Master to the product owner role. And I will be preparing for my PSPO with the new syllabus. I'll be preparing for the exam.
Okay. Well, I wish you good luck with that. you're starting to talk about like what are your next steps. So I wanted to ask you the same thing. What are you doing right now?
So I am continuing with my current role as a Scrum Master in this project that I'm working with um, through Helpful Engineering, and I am currently looking for a Scrum Master role in the Bay Area and remote, and I will continue to look for a job until I find one. And I plan to continue with the project because this is something that is like giving back to the community, you know, and creating good for other people around you with your knowledge and with your experience that you want to give to other people, and help the community. I believe in giving back. So this is something that I will continue. And in any capacity, right now I am giving about 10 to 12 hours a week in this project. And once I have work, I mean paid job, then I don't know how much I will be able to, how many hours I will be able to give, but I would try to give my best as much as it needs.
Yeah. I like a lot about you that you're so dedicated in giving back, and not just taking experience, taking something, but giving more than you probably take back, and making sure that whatever you're doing is actually having an effect on people, on the world generally. So I think that's a very, very inspiring thing altogether. And just as a person, I wanted to thank you, and it's really great to have people like you giving more out there, because I think this is like exactly what the world is needing in this moment, like engaged people that are doing their best and trying to produce some change. And even the organization that you're working for is it's it's for a good cause. So protection equipment is something that personal protection equipment is something that a lot of organizations, a lot of people still need, and probably still will still need throughout 2021.
Right. And we are also thinking of, once the personal protection equipments are done, then if there is any other natural calamity or any other kind of calamities, this platform should be able to cater to that as well. So we have plans of doing that as well. But thank you so much for saying that. It's yeah, I'm very, very thankful for that. And yeah, this is, I mean, giving back is the reason for an individual's existence, I guess. So if you have something and you can give back, yeah, that should be the reason for the existence. I mean, little bit, and try to make a big difference.
Well, that's a very nice way to end this conversation in a very positive tone. And Smita, thank you very much for your time. I hope for everyone that this conversation was useful in understanding how you get from encountering Scrum, learning more about it, getting some experience, and also continuing on this path. So really appreciate having this conversation with you.
I hope so too. I hope other people get some experience from my experience. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I'll be happy to talk more if you have any questions.
Yeah, I will add in the description your LinkedIn profile and also the resources and the groups that you mentioned throughout this conversation, just in case someone is interested in attending some of these meetups, reading some of the books that you're reading, and things like that. I think that would be very helpful.
For sure, please do that. Yeah, and feel free to ask me any questions if you have, on my LinkedIn messaging. Yeah.
Okay, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.